Yes.
Hear you.
All right. Gentlemen, the ultimate recipient of this award, understand that the physical award that we provided you today should serve as a memory of your accomplishments thus far in life. And these commitments that you've made today, or will make, in front of your truth, family, friends, and God, are very important. The award today is being presented to you by John's wife. I'm glad y'all could hear me because you heard me totally out of order.
Okay. I'll try to use this again. What I'd like to do, and I think I am in order, is I'd like to address all the nominees at this time, and while I'm doing that, Lynn, John's wife, will be presenting to them, each of them, a Bible dedicated to their nomination and to John. As an Eagle Scout, and as a result of your character and traits you have exhibited in the eyes of your troop leaders, you've been nominated for this very special John Doorman Duty God Award. By your presence here today, it is obvious that you have already exhibited many of the qualities that would indicate that you are already and will continue to be a man after God's heart. You have exhibited many of the same qualities that John's friends and family saw in him, and thus you have received this nomination. The Bible that is being presented to you, to each of you today by John's wife, is a leadership Bible from John Maxwell. Having been nominated for this award, this nomination infers that each of you already have been established as leaders in your own right. Congratulations.
Now it's my turn. My apologies. All right, gentlemen, again, the ultimate recipient of the final award today. Understand that the physical award will be provided to you today should serve as a memory of all of your accomplishments. You've done well. Each of you guys are truly deserving of this award. The commitments you made today are commitments that you're making in front of your family, your friend, your truth, and God. The award is being presented by John's wife. I want to tell you a little bit about the award. The award is fashioned after many of the things that John loved. First, it was selected by John's Christian brothers and members in his fellowship group. And in Proverbs 27:17, it tells us, as iron sharpens iron, so shall one man sharpen another. It's always important, guys. It's always important to have close relationships with others around you, other Christians, specifically other men who are of like mind. This has served you a long way in life. Seek out those men. They'll keep you in check with God's will. Second, on each side of the knife, and you won't be able to see it, but you'll see it later, there are inscriptions. They're engraved symbols. They're very important to each of us as Christians. These are both symbols that John loved. On one side, can't really see it again. On one side, you'll see the Star of David. And on the other side, there's a Christian cross. John felt strongly that as Christians, we should understand and remember our Jewish heritage. John heavily studied and understood the traditions outlined in much of the Old and New Testament, remembering that the organized faith of our Savior was indeed Judaism, and that we're all grafted into the lineage and the grace of the Jewish faith. The engraved Star of David reminds us of this, and forever it will remind you also. John also loved and collected and made crosses. Crosses of all shapes and sizes. And for us here today, the cross represents God's ultimate sacrifice of his Son so that we could have a permanent path to salvation. Again, you'll just be able to pull out this as a remembrance. Additionally, and luckily for one of you guys, John loved knives. John loved really, really cool knives. And kind of big and flashy. This indeed is a man's knife. It's a Ken Richards custom knife made especially for this event. And like John Doorman, it's one of a kind. It's not some wimpy, store-bought, pocket knife. It's a real knife. The finish is 1085 tempered stainless steel. This is a reminder that our lives can be made strong, sharp, stainless, and pure in the sight of God, but only through our Savior, Jesus Christ's cleansing blood. You can be just like this blade. The handle is taken from nature, from an antler of a white-tailed deer. The deer represents many of God's beautiful creations. It reminds us that God is part of everything that is good and pure in this world. And note the leather sheath. The sheath is much softer than the knife itself. And it reminds us that the armor of God is always upon us. The sheath, like God does for us, is a symbol of his loving protection. And lastly, the inscription, above all, duty to God. Heed these words. Take them seriously. Carry that through your life, and you'll be rewarded.
Today we recognize these young men and the honor that comes with the recognition of their true leaders that bring them here today. And so in recognition of that nomination, if you will, we'd like to have you acknowledge that today, in effect, you are binding your life with the life of a great man, John Doorman, a man who was always in pursuit of God's heart. By accepting this nomination and award, you are further committing that in all situations you'll be a Christian brother and a good friend to all. You're committing that should you become married and have children someday, that you will love and care for them just as John did for Lynn and Andrew, unselfishly and unconditionally. You're also committing that you will always honor your mother and father as John did throughout his life. Finally, and most importantly, you're agreeing to lead a life that strives to follow God's will, and that you will forever endeavor to find your personal calling with the desires of our gracious God. As you can see before us today, we have 6 nominees in this 7th year of this event. And each of these young men are certainly deserving examples of what John Doorman Duty to God Award stands for. The unique makeup of each man, their service to the community, their demonstrated leadership skills, their high character, and their oh so bright futures clearly set them apart from other young adults. The clarity in how they express their love for God and how they allow Him to guide their life and their path is truly amazing. Each young man here today, along with his parents, family, friends, fellow scouts, and scout leaders, should all be proud that they are recognized at this event. And even though we would like to also recognize one scout in particular with a special knife, all these young men on this stage will forever be recognized as Doorman Eagles, just as all nominees from prior years are. So once again, let's recognize all. In nominating a young man for this recognition, a scout leader in the Eagle Scouts troop is asked to speak to the Scouts' reverence, leadership, service, friendship, and Scout values. And even though we've recited many accomplishments and characteristics of our Eagles, I'd like to share a few observations of this year's 9th recipient. As you've heard here before, leadership is an important aspect of this recognition. The Bibles for which each of these Eagle Scouts received today are the John Maxwell Leadership Bibles. And we believe that certainly leadership is what is called for as one advances in their path, if you will, through school, through work, through marriage, through life. And when we think about leadership, we think of seeing opportunities, taking risks, and acting to make things happen as qualities of a strong leader. This young man has already several years of being experienced as a strong leader, not just in continuing what others have started, but envisioning the possibilities for what could be, and then taking actions to bring them to life. Whether he has stepped out in faith to launch and grow a Christian-centered program for area high school students, or recognized a need that extends beyond the window of an Eagle Scout project, this young man gets servant leadership. Just as called for in his favorite Bible passage, the Beatitudes, he leads with the spirit of love and humility. Will you help me recognize Brendan Morton as this year's John Doorman?